The project I'm working here, it's going to be a book cover, a journal cover. I'm not quite sure whether I get the whole width into the camera, but this is how you would imagine. Hold it down just in case a wind blast should come. And you can see here this black line, and this is the edge of my journal cover. This is my template, and it's gonna be the cardboard and the spine in the journal. It's just some cereal cardboard. And what I did is I made it a little bit bigger, so mosquitoes are coming out. I have to finish off soon. It's gonna be turned over, and this is then gonna be the back and the front. You see, I've done 3 rows of stitching yet. I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna do any more, because I'm very inspired with all the stitchings that I'm learning at the moment from various channels, and when I get to introduce you what I'm doing with the stitching, I will put the links down below. And just for now, to show you approximately the idea what's gonna happen, is I'm gonna fill this area here with all kinds of fabric scratches and bits and pieces and stitching and sewing. And what I've done so far is I got this 2 beautiful, very thin, very beautiful cotton. This one, I'm sure it's from India. It even has some stitching on it, some embroidery itself, so that will be used by itself one day, and this lovely border. And this was a summer skirt of mine, also very, very thin cotton. Partially I dyed it with walnut spray, but I also gave it a coffee bath first, and then I sprayed it while it was still wet, scrunched it a little bit, dried it. Here I already cut out bits and pieces, and this I can use for further bits and pieces to fill up my area here. And this is more little leftover scraps. These are strips that I want to sew then together and use it for decoration, or don't know yet what. Lovely work to do, and that's on the sewing machine. And then I have already done all these stitchings. This is just temporarily set up on my folder, plastic folder here, and this is just a rough idea. This has nothing to do with the outcome yet, maybe. And what I've done is, just while I started stitching around, I did one of these works, which I must say very proudly, I picked it up from Rachel's mother, from Roxy Creations, because I was so impressed what her mother did. So she hasn't got a tutorial, so just from looking at from the distance through the screen, I picked this up and put one of my little butterflies here. And while I was stitching, I did a few other ones in different colors that won't be part of this journal. I thought, oh my God, I'll never be finished. There has to be a quicker way. So I started making these little patches with the sewing machine. So the same thing, I went around and around and around. That's the same what you saw here on my bigger piece of the journal cover. So I made these little ones and a few yo-yos, and here is another one that I stitched around with the sewing machine, and I have about four layers of this thin fabric from my skirt, so it's nice and fluffy. It's just gorgeous to feel, very beautiful. And this is 4 layers, and this heart, of course, again is inspired by Rachel's mother. These doilies, these yo-yos, or whatever people call them, yo-yos or suffols circles or something, or Sonya, I think she even calls them suffols. I like that name. Maybe it's not what she says, but that's what it sounds to me, little suffols. So I got here these little things, and I did these over a stretch of 2 days when Tina from Shabbydabbydoodah, she had a tutorial on how to make these yo-yos with the button in the middle. So I made this collection already. These are other bits and pieces I made while I made other things, leftovers that I can use on my... I could actually lay it out on my white surface, and we see how more likely how it will be looking like. Bit of doilies. Doily activity, and they can be put here and there. Yeah, I'm not quite sure whether I need to do more of this stitching around, because it's gonna be so full with other things, but don't know yet. We see how it goes. This is so far what I have, and I got here these 2 little embroidery pieces that might go somewhere. Another mosquito. This is a paper flower, which I picked up how to do a tutorial from Treasure Books. She makes absolutely gorgeous ephemera, so that will go somewhere. Then of course heaps of stitching that I pick up from various channels with different knots, different stitches. But at the moment I'm still working on making some more of these yo-yos or suffols. And what I've done, this is one that I had cut out earlier on, so it's still, that's this color. And then I did a few new ones, and this is fabric, also from that very thin fabric, which I first just coffee dyed, and then I stamped it all over, and I already cut these circles out. Here, these ones. And it's very easy to make these circles. You just take, you know, a big surface of something that is round, and you go around it. Here for the little one I have this little, I don't know what it is. So it looks like a perfect size. I want to make bigger ones, smaller ones, and then there are various techniques how you can sew them together. This is the first one that I made, but I have other ideas and other samples. So now that it's getting dark, I shall settle in front of the television and do some sewing. Bye now. This is now quite a few days later, and I organized my bits and pieces like this on this journal cover. It was very, very full because I got so excited sewing all these little doilies or whatever their name is, and it was full. It is all this amount of other stuff that was all scattered around, and it was just too much on it. So I took everything away again and restarted, and I think it looks better. So what I'm doing next now is I have to put down these pins so it won't move before I start sewing it down. These are very beautiful little circles that I made. It was an idea I picked up from Sonya, but she did it with the needle around it, but she just mentioned it could be done with the crocheting. So I figured out how to do these little circles here, and I'm very fond. This is crocheting thread with a darker colored normal thread in between to give it a bit of darker shade. Here I got it with double black, so it's very dark. Here again like this color, this only with one black thread to it. Here I made little circles just with the stitch around, and I will keep that in the middle. Here is another little circle, there's a button inside, which will go up there. These I think you all saw. The only other thing that I've done that I showed you I'm gonna do a bit differently is having very big holes here in between. This circle here, I make them very big so you can stitch or put something else here instead of buttons. These have got nothing yet. Maybe I leave it like that. I quite like the color. So here we're just focusing now to pin everything down, so then we can start sewing. Bit of fiddly job, doesn't matter. These are very special little coins, or whatever you want to call these little things, because before you finish sewing it totally down, you have to take the paper out. The paper was there just to give it the shape. I used to make not blankets, bed covers, bedspreads with this, but they were about this big in size, the little coins. I made 3 huge ones in my life. That was when I lived back in Switzerland. One was blue, yellow and gold. That's still not finished, I must say. Still hanging around somewhere in a cupboard now here with me in Australia, waiting to be finished one day. But the thing is, I used to do that back in Switzerland in the evening when I used to watch television, and my boyfriend in those times, he had a music recording studio, and of course those musicians, they always worked late at night. So I was upstairs all alone, home, and amusing myself watching movies and patchworking my quilts, and many other hobbies of course too. I was quite into photography. But I found so much joy when I saw these ladies doing these little coins. I think my ones are even smaller than what I saw now in videos. I had to size my big one, make it smaller so it's even sided. So I think we're getting to the end here. You belong here inside, you little one. There. That little one. So, see, that's my needle prepared here. Put it here for the time being. Now I just check that nothing's jumping around. I think I managed. So I got a needle prepared here, and this work now that I do is usually it is done with a softer cotton, which I don't have here in Australia anymore. I must buy several things to have here in Australia with me. So what I do now is just I took a thicker cotton that I had, and I took a bit, not white, but a dark one, so I will see it, because this first quick sewing down will be taken out again. I don't know whether there is an English word for this job, but in Switzerland we call it suffols, and that's a very descriptive word. It means like hit it with a thread, quickly hit it, or hit it with a quick stitches, hit it with quick stitches. But we say it a bit different. We say suffols, thread hitting would be the translation. So you can do very big stitches. It doesn't matter at all what sequence, how you do this, just as long as everything is down, because then we're taking out the pins. So when we sew, we're not hurting ourselves or losing the pins. See? Just very randomly hit the stuff with some stitches. Take the pin out. I got these gorgeous little pin cushions here. And needle cushions, like this one is a very, very old. This one was the original color. It's that old. A very good girlfriend of mine once, we were in Munich and we were walking the streets and it was raining, and suddenly she pulled out her hand out of her raincoat pocket and said, "Look what I got for you. Do you want this?" And I said, "Oh my God, yes!" But these little Chinese dolls, they are so old. They are so well traveled. And then I found one lately in a second-hand shop, and this is a newer version of it. So, let's get going here. Just do it slowly and gently so you don't make knots in your long thread. Oh, I have another good Swiss saying for you. This is typical for me, I must say. There is a saying in Swiss German, it says lange Faden, faule Mädchen, and that means long threads, lazy girls. Haha. Because well, me especially, I don't like to thread needles. So you make long threads so you don't have to needle. too often, but then there is a big danger that you make knots in your threads. So it's not really for the lazy girls, it's for the handy girls, I say. And you must make sure that you get all of your cottons, you know, like down to the bottom of it. There. This is gonna be, I leave these because I can't stitch here because I want to take the paper out, so them two I leave with just the pins. You might hear that noise in the background. That's my dryer, my food dryer, the dehydrator, because it's just pineapple time here. Not long ago we had mango season and now it's pineapple season, and I just bought 3 the most beautiful huge pineapples, locally grown, and I put some in the dehydrator. Oh, it makes so sweet dried pineapples. I'm always having a few jobs on the go here. Oh yeah, I would like to explain to you this ugly piece of, I don't know what you would call it, plaster. No, Band-Aid. A Band-Aid. And it's actually not a Band-Aid. I haven't hurt myself. But it actually serves as a thimble. Oh, I forgot my thimble. I got here this thimble actually for this job. It's handy. But this thimble I use for another job that I have going. And I shall show you. I prepared it so I can show it to you, because I'm working on this stitching. This is a t-shirt I made. I didn't make the t-shirt, but it was a very long t-shirt, so I seamed it this thick further up, and now I'm stitching here. This side is done. But I started with this side, and I just started with this. I didn't even practice or anything, so they got a bit too big. But I like it. So I'm now on this side. And what it is, I have this other thing here. It is very thick yarn with a very thick needle. And I'm poking through very thick fabric, so it's very difficult. Only these two are missing, then I'm done, and I don't want to take this off until I've done these two as well. So I have to really pull the needle, get it out, and like this, and it hurt me here. It hurt me so bad. So I put this temporary thimble there. And when I finish this job, the thimble gets off. Now, where's my needle? See, nearly made a knot to stay focused. So I think anyway you got the idea. To be careful, not everything's stitched down here yet. So I shall finish this off camera, and when I start sewing I'll be back and show you the next step, how I do it. Bye for now. Here we go again, the third part of this stitching for a journal cover. And what I've done since the last time is with this thread, unfortunately we can buy only very flimsy little threads. They are very, very thin threads, and I take them double, but often they, even here at the end of the needle, if I sew for, you know, I like the long threads, so if I do many stitches it even breaks here. So be aware, it's better to buy good quality thread. Me, definitely for my next purchase I will buy a bit more expensive but better quality thread. So I get my thimble, sorry. And most of it I've done. I just left a few little ones to show you how I stitch. And so I arrived here at this last little bit here, and because the edges here are really nice and tattered, so I would like to preserve that. So I just do this up and down stitch, but fairly close together, so it will just help them to stay put. Maybe I even take, see how this is one layer, and I go behind that layer but come up in the layer, so that's held down a little bit firm. So this is just how I finish this row. And considering the fact that I will do a lot of fancy stitching on this piece, these loose bits and pieces here, they don't have to be sewn down that precisely, that firmly, because there will be heaps of more stitches holding them down. So I just go to the edge here with this stitch. You can hear the crows in the garden. We got heaps of crows this year. Don't know why. First year since I'm here, over 10 years, that we have this many crows, and I'm not happy. They love my garden, my veggie garden, especially everything that's red, like tomatoes and my red capsicum. And here it's already like a machine type of zigzag, so it doesn't need that, so I just go up and down, and the upper one's a bit shorter than the lower ones, so that goes fairly quickly to this end. Oh, I forgot to pre-thread my needle. Now I have to make an example of myself on camera, how to thread my needle, because this thread now is too short to start anything else. If it was a good quality thread, I might say, okay, I'm saving every little bit of it. But these cheap threads, I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed, not just with the quality of threads these days, but that's different story. So here I have this flimsy thin little thread that like to break, so I take about this much, fairly long thread as I like them. Because my eyesight's not the best, maybe I even put on my glasses, I always look for needles that have fairly big eyes here. Still, for this work they have to be very thin, the needle as thin as possible, but still a biggish size of an eye. Oh, a very long thread. To be careful not to make knots. Might even shorten it a little bit. Don't want to have knots here, right here on camera. Okay. So I've stitched all around here. I'm gonna make another row here, but that comes when I do the stitching with fancy thread. I've done all this, and then we come to this bit here. These are these squares that I did my bedspread blankets with, or bedspreads, but with the big ones. And I am used to unthread, you know, once they are together, because when you make a bedspread you don't put it down on a fabric, you just go and stitch them all together until you have the whole bedspread all pieced like this. And then I used to take out the threads, turn it over and take the paper out and then make a backing. But here, of course, I'm considering that this is a paper journal anyway, so it's not really necessary to take out the paper, it just makes them a bit firmer, because these three here, these two I took the paper out, took the stitches out, still a bit of marks in the fabric from where the needle went through. But then I was thinking, instead of going that complicated, it's quite okay to leave the paper in the back. They won't move, this is not going to be washed. It's a paper piece of work anyway, with a lot of paper. So I already sewed all around here, so I just show you here how I stitch with very fine little stitches, very similar stitch. I'm sorry I'm not used to talk in English about my stitches. So we come from the back with the knot, and then we make very fine little stitches. And these threads can be put in the back. Of course the knots are also gonna stay there, but that doesn't matter. Now the scissor in my way. And since there are many layers here, this is a double layer, these are 4 layers here, we have this on top, we don't have to go all the way down. It's okay just to grab a few top layers that will be strong enough for the purpose that we're gonna be using it here for. I've already been coffee dyeing this morning. It's only about midday now. Beautiful day. So my coffee dyed papers are in the sun, drying. Can't wait for them to dry. Of course, of course. So, and then we go to the back and just secure our thread with a few stitches. The knot is in my way. Yeah, sorry for my fingernails being a bit coffee stained and stuff. So we can cut off the thread here. And I believe these are the last few bits and pieces I have to do. Nearly a knot, nearly a knot. That's why it's very helpful to pull the thread slowly. That's when you can avoid having stitches, because the threads always twirl and twist and then you easily have a knot. But if you work slowly, you usually can rescue the situation. Nearly there. Last stitch. I think so. We will double check. So again, we just make 2 knots here in the back. There. Got it. This is my lovely pillow cushion. Pillow cushion. I keep saying pillow cushion. My needle cushion. So, yes. Okay. So here we go. This is it, how it looks now. And I think we've done it all now. Here I have to take out the stitches. Now that's not always that easy to find the start now anymore. And of course we will come to the one where the knot is in the back. So the knot must be just behind these little ones, so we cut this one just very close to the... Maybe even pull it back. Doesn't matter. Here we go to the next one. Yeah, there's the knot. Very good, that one went good. Yeah, that's all done. That's gonna be stitched with different stitch. That's all done. So I look for the knot where I started the grey one. Doesn't look, I started with a knot. Can't find it, so we're just gonna cut it here, and then again just keep opening it up. And of course sometimes I stitched the thread like there. So looking forward to see this without the hitting thread. Oh, this is where the knot is. Okay. So. Sometimes it's handy to cut it short again. It comes out easier. And the last bit. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So, ready for the decorative stitches. Oh my God. Well, well, well. I don't know whether this will be. Ah, yeah, what I wanted to show you is, let me just grab the cardboard. Because what is quite important with your design is that once in a while you check that this is gonna be the front of the diary and this is gonna be the back of the diary, and here you kind of know this stretch is gonna be on the spine. So I try to accommodate that the buttons are gonna be, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm gonna push it onto the spine. This is in the front, and so looks quite alright. So I'm looking forward what stitches I will do. I'm not quite sure yet whether I'll be good at those stitches because it's a brand new, well, fairly new, but making a journal cover with the stitches for the first time. So it still depends whether the stitching, the decorative stitching, will be nice or not, that this is actually gonna be used. So I'm gonna upload this video now with the first 3 parts, and then hopefully I can show you a little bit how I proceed with the other stitches.